Welcome to a Sunday Trialogue with me, Ethan Indigo, and Ricardo Calvario. So, welcome to the show, everybody. We've got some interesting topics going on. Ethan, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
Oh, salute everybody, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. Ethan Indigo Smith on all the usual social media places and platforms, and I have a few books on Amazon too, and articles here and there, occultresearchinstitute.org, including. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Ricardo, go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
Sure. So, good morning, everyone, or good evening, or good night, depending on where you are on this small ball of ours. And my name is Ricardo Calvario. You can find me at Ricardo Calvario1 at X, as it is on the screen. I also want to plug in the Universe Unveiled podcast. It's an all feminine podcast that I think it's very interesting for you to check out. I want to plug the Institute for Philosophy.org, the website where you can find our magazine, and my books, The Resonant Earth and Stardust. And I think this time I made it all. And congratulations, Ethan, for your show yesterday. It was great.
Oh, thank you so much, Ricardo. I appreciate it.
I didn't went there because every time I think there is an interesting person, I don't want to be there to intervene. So I rather watch because I think
you don't want to eclipse us.
No. I just want to hear it.
I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, for those who didn't check it out, I thought it went really well on the Occult Rejects site, recent one on the fourth initiation. Thanks, Ricardo.
That was
thanks.
a banger episode.
Thank you, Headless, for being there.
Check it out. Absolutely. So that's what we got going on with us. Let's see, what kind of topics do we have? Ricardo, let's start with you.
Okay. So I brought a small video where we can watch how people react when the reptilian brain or the Broca brain enters into play. So these people in this clip are forced to react in a situation where they're put right on the line so what happens is this fellow. Oh, you're gonna play it? Okay, play it. Oh, this is not the clip that's dear God. This was not the clip that I chosen, but it works just as well. So you can stop it. So this is not the video that I wanted to show, and I'm sorry about that, but because the other one is more explicit. But the point that I want to make here is the difference between people reactions go from very quickly dismissive, like I'm not here. So like the first girl, she quickly throws the bucket into the water and puts her hands back behind her back, like there's nothing going on here. Then you have these people that have no problem to put, quotes, the gun in the hand of the friend that they are walking with and run away. They don't care what happens to you, right? And you have the people that froze completely. Okay, I'm okay. I have this in my hand, and I don't know what to do.
The ones that put the bucket on their own head.
Yeah, and that is clever too. That is also clever. So I think this happens in all aspects of life. When people are put into these positions, there are some that react dismissively and remove themselves from the equation. There are those that have no problems to stab their own into the back and say, I have nothing to do with this. You're on your own. Take it and flee. And those that just take part of the situation, like I'm a victim, just like you are. Where's the guy putting the buckets in our heads, right? So And I think this is a very good example of how humans react in their situations. So um, I don't know what are your opinions in how the people react into these things. I go for you, Ethan.
Oh, well, it's very interesting. I was looking at these, kind of thinking about reactions and responses too. I've seen this video or a similar one
Similar
anyway.
one.
And when I was growing up, I learned that most people had a certain. I grew up in an inner city environment, and there was a lot of fighting going on. And I learned that most people had their right foot forward. And as soon as I learned that, I said, I'm going to be Southpaw then. I learned the difference between regular and Southpaw, and I said, I'm going to be the opposite. Even though I'm right-handed and most people that are Southpaw would be left-handed, whatever. I just figured I was going to be contrarian, to look for a difference and an advantage. And there's this whole idea among the ninja. One of the main ideas we can gather from that tradition really is that, and martial arts has this in general, is you do an action to provoke a reaction, and you then do something to use that reaction in a way to benefit you. The classic one in the movies is the ninja goes into the castle, starts a smoky fire in one place. What does everyone do? Goes to the fire, right? And that would be a classic non-thinking reaction, like, oh, there's a fire, we must put it out. But really, if you think one step further, there's a fire, we have to put it out. But wait, who started the fire? For what reason? And so, yeah, I always go for the contrarian thing, and I would be with the bucket, like, it was that guy. I have no idea what's going on, bro.
Look, I have a friend that I will not name because he was just tripping high on LSD, right, on his second floor.
I appreciate
And
you not saying me.
yeah, so and he starts to hear this commotion coming from the street, right? And so he goes to the kitchen window, and he sees a lot of people looking at the kind of restaurant or snack bar or wherever it is that is on fire, and everyone is looking from the outside in and just let it burn. They're just looking at it, right? And the guy comes down, right, and sees that no one is taking action, and there's not that much of a fire inside. So he goes in, tripping, grabs the extinguisher. How do you call it? The fire extinguisher. Yeah, goes to the kitchen and puts the fire out because it was just the how you call it, the oven, the thing where you cook things. I don't know the name in English, and puts out the fire and comes out, and there is no comments, there is no nothing. While there is something to watch, people were standing there watching the place burn. But as soon as it's solved, everyone starts to disperse because there's nothing else to see. And and I think that's a common trait in it. Just a passive observation. It's like we all seen these people on the street that are looking similarly to create that situation. Are you looking at me? Hmm? Are you looking at me? So it's that situation where people are watching TV. They're not actually looking at you. They're just like an NPC observing what is going around. They are not specifically observing you. They're just, I don't know what's the internal processing that is going on, but it's completely passive. Right? There is no offense. There is no interpretation. There is just looking. Right, like those ladies or the old ladies or old folk on the windows of the buildings looking at the street. It's their television. It's what they're looking. And I think somewhat it relates to what we just seen. That is, people really don't know how to react. They're just sleeping inside, right?
I think Carl Jung said something like, as soon as you contemplate that you are conscious, you are. and then in the very next moment, you are not.
Yes, and you see the comment that just passed by in Las Vegas. They put the fire out, and people keep gambling because nothing to worry about. It's just a building on flames.
And we see this. We see
right
this.
now.
What was that, Atlas?
That's kind of like the stock market right now.
I was going to say it's like social media, right? People, they only want to look at a mess. Like they look at arguments, they get entangled in arguments. If it's this and that, and it doesn't, attract as much attention when it's just something clean and nice.
Sure,
They like the mess.
and that's interesting because people are taking offense with opinions on
They
a
like
screen.
reaction. They like the reaction
on a screen, right? And they perpetuate this discussion to the point where they're already offending to the fourth generation one another, right? And they lose context of what there was being discussed, and there is no argumentation. There is just offense, right? And I think that's the problem, because if we disagree, we should say, look, I disagree with you because of this and this and this. And the other person should say, oh, yeah, but I have a different view because I see this and this and this. But no, they immediately go into I'm taking offense of what you're saying, right? So I think people should necessarily go a few notches down, because we're just discussion opinions, right? No matter how aggressively we're putting our opinions there, we're not trying to offend anyone. Well, some people might, but even if so, there is ways to communicate that enhances the dialogue and not the offense, because then you get off topic and there's no point to be made. It's like you go to a discussion without anyone changes their positions, right? And it's all a matter of your mother instead of the topic we're discussing, even if it is Nazis and Jews or whatever it is. It's a discussion. It's just words. They cannot hit you. It's like Bob Marley used to say, hit me with music, because music cannot hurt me, right? And words are the same. Words cannot hit you. Words cannot offend you. They're just words, right? It's not a mob hitting you and kicking you on the floor. It's a different situation. It's just people talking. And I think if people embrace the situation that social media is a wonderful place for us to discuss opinions, to learn new things, even if it is to learn that other people have different opinions, right? So I just wanted to point that stop being offended. Just stop being offended, because there's no point. It kills the discussion, right? And we can only grow if we listen to one another.
A shirt that said "Stop being offended."
Yes,
very beneficial. Because somebody's going to get offended by you telling them to stop being offended. As you walk around, it's just
look. It's let me see if I can pull this up, because this one I know what it is. Well, I did know what I was looking for the other video. Oh, there it is. Let me see if I can share this. Where are we? Here, share screen.
Nope. He disappeared.
Oh, look at that.
I think Facebook is designed specifically for people to argue on it.
Oh yeah, the algorithm is totally geared. I don't think it explicitly is encoded in that way, but the way that arguments happen is the way the algorithm likes to promote things for certain.
So where is this? No, I have to do the entire screen because I can't do it any other way. This one, here, go here. I'm not sure if you're gonna hear it, but see how people are these days. Can you hear anything?
Nope.
Oops.
Can't hear anything, I don't think.
Okay, I'm going to share this with Headless and you can pull it up. It's easier.
Where the-
Okay. See if you can. I'm gonna stop sharing. See if you can share it, because that's
Okay.
exactly what I was saying.
Let me see here.
Isn't it strange the vocalization change that a lot of social media people put forth? The tonation of their communication is super strange. I guess maybe just talking to a screen, you're not talking to someone else, maybe, but it just is
You ready?
changed the whole vocalization.
Go on.
Okay.
Mind taking a photo of us?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody say cheese.
Oh, actually, I'm a vegan. Could you please have us say something else?
Okay, everybody say tofu.
Tofu is actually not as good for you as vegans think. Any CrossFitter will tell you that. It's bad for your testosterone levels.
Okay, I'm sorry. How about we all just smile?
Oh, if one more asshole asks me to smile.
Not really an arsehole. Taking a photo for you. So,
What's it to smile about anyway?
okay. Would you like me to just count backwards from 3?
Oh, would you like dyslexic people to just not exist?
My cousin has dyslexia, so offended.
Adopted. Don't even know who my cousins are, so more offended.
How about this? We all put a word we're comfortable with in our heads and I'll get the shot.
No, it doesn't sound very inclusive, though, does it? I suppose you'd like us all to stand a few metres apart, would you, Stalin?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I don't see what religion has to do with this.
Well, I'm an atheist, so majorly triggered.
Is that a comment on the gun debate? Still trying to control people.
But it's not just the people. Has anyone thought about the animals?
Look, this is what we're going to do. Everybody throw up a peace sign and I'll take a photo.
Wow. Cultural appropriation is alive and well. Why don't you just ask us to say kung fu?
Guess what? New plan, group selfie, ready, set, go, boom. And looks awesome. You're going to love it. Nice to meet you.
You took it with the front camera, you stupid cyclist. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So they get so excited with their own absolute truths inside them that they're losing context, and that's exactly the point I was making. And at certain point, they turn on one another. It doesn't matter what group it is, right? And they pick everything. It got me triggered, and immediately the other one says, "Oh, now it's gun control," right? Because everyone is so focused on their own reality that everything is a needle punching them, right? And this is what we see in social media. So everyone is defending some personal truth so hardly that they assumed it as reality instead of just that's how the way I see things, right? If we don't, stupid cyclist, yes, exactly. So at the end, they are also offensive to others, but that doesn't matter, right? Because it's outside of their circle of opinions. So my point today, and I'm still a bit sleepy because I slept very little today, is that stop being so stupid. That's the point. Stop being obtuse, obnoxious. Be respectful. Because if we are respectful to one another, we can learn something from one another. We can create a dialogue, even if we don't agree. Exactly as we do here today. We on our trialogues, we don't necessarily agree with one another, and yet we are here discussing things, right? I even saw Ethan and Headless a few weeks ago having a massive discussion that took 2 days about points of view that were different, but they were just discussing the matter. They were not trying to offend to their fathers and their mothers and to the fourth generation and personal takes. It's just opinions. I think this. Oh, but I think this. No, but you have to look into this. Okay, but you also have to look into this. It took 2 days, but you guys managed to
Well, Headless is right. I was certain that one side is more evil. Headless is certain that both sides are equally evil, if I can speak for him. But Headless is right.
There is no innocence.
Yeah, you always have to assume both sides have done something. That's
Of
what you
course.
learn in the court systems. Never one-sided. I wish it was like that, but I think there's never really been a perfect victim or a perfect oppressor.
No, definitely not. There's no perfect entity.
Except when dealing with people who oppress children, in which case somebody probably did that to them too.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
And it's that funny thing. Sorry, Ethan. It's very short. It's that funny thing that someone started this, right? Someone completely outside of the public domain, completely outside. And all of a sudden, everyone has an opinion, right? And they took it to heart so hard that they go even into war, if need be, for that opinion, without thinking, okay, let's what you did. Let's look at the what's going on in here, right? What's behind this? What was causing this movement of masses towards this or that opinion? There is no thought. There is immediate reaction, and I think that is the problem. There is no discussion. I defend that we shouldn't use the brain. We should use our senses and our emotions to decide our movements, because every time you think, you're going to do it wrong. Because thinking...
Well, on a geopolitical level, the centralization of information centralizes the public's reaction. And when you've decentralized that source of information, now everybody can have different reactions. So in a lot of ways, that selfie video almost illustrates why it's better, because there's nothing to centralize all those people's anger and all those people's frustration on one certain group or another that can get us into war and all the rest of this stuff. They could all be offended against each other. And but you know what's funny about that too is it actually provides a lot more ability for the best arguments to win. Even in a decentralized environment, the best ideas are the ones that are going to get the most people involved. And usually that's different focus than what the government normally has in store for people. So I think there is some benefit to having everybody be offended. At least the stupid people can all be occupied with stupid subjects.
And it's off context, because the guy is just saying it's a photo, say cheese, right?
Right.
And one goes immediately, oh, I'm a vegan, so you cannot say that to me. Why? Why can't I say that to you? Why? I'm not forcing you to eat cheese. It's out of context.
Well, it's amazing. Maybe how many people grew up with the validity of opinion? Like, opinion doesn't mean anything except that news outlets always are constantly quoting the statistics and percentages of opinions. That's not news. That's not news. It's meaningless. But it makes people think, when they're in that mindset where they mix up the subjective and the objective, that it matters. No, it doesn't matter to the facts, right? The facts are the facts, and what you think about it is neat, but it's not the facts. I was thinking too, what Jung said, the tortured become the best torturers, something to the effect, right?
You know the most unrealistic thing about that skit? That people like that would have any friends around them whatsoever that they want to take a picture with.
Well, the thing is, they are only friends until they start to speak.
Right.
Right? Because
well, that is actually quite the scary cultural phenomenon of people being less and less social, right? That's happening all across the board, not necessarily due to COVID. There's even, I just saw a news story where they contemplated the whys of it. Well, it's obvious. It's the technology. Actually, and this goes right into what I wanted to bring up. Headless, if I may go next, if you were.
Sure, go ahead.
I was thinking of the what I'm going to call the Californication of what is social media. And so it's funny, Ricardo, you brought up this subject. I'm going to, bring another layer of it.
We don't talk before this trialogue so that people know.
No, right. Yeah.
It's
Right.
a complete accident.
To reiterate that, excuse me. If people don't know, actually, California, the name comes from a Spanish book where it was related to this dreamy wonderland where there was every type of environment and basically a paradise. And in California, it's got the coast, it's got the valley, and it's got the mountains. You can do everything. You can be anything here. There's Hollywood. It is the dreamland of this Spanish book, and it really is a dreamland where people come to recreate themselves. From the East, you might have been an air conditioning repairman. You come to California, and now you're doing a whole other thing. You're this whole other recreation of yourself, and that's been kind of an American tradition. Not necessarily overtly so. Not everyone comes to California and reinvents themselves, but it's a place where people do that. Go west and start anew. Find some gold and be a millionaire. And go be an actor. All these things are representative of California, and that's kind of what the Californication song actually is about. Some of the lyrics of the song Californication are spooky. And so take this recreation idea now, where people had to move to California, and think about it in the concept of social media. Everyone is their own rock star Hollywood agent of roach control, of raising goats, of you name it. Everyone's their own little social media Hollywood star. It's really its own Hollywood Californication, if you will. And people not only recreate themselves, which is fine, that's okay, but they do a worse thing, which social media is known for. And I'm thinking it's leaking into our very behavior and quality of ourselves. And that is going from a reinvention into a new Ethan, into a fake hollow thing, right? That's not good. And that's what social media is exacerbating. Not only are people reinventing themselves, they're now totally fake and hollow. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
To push back on that a little bit, I would say that a lot of people have figured out that inauthenticity does not sell on social media. So
And the struggle is to maintain your true sturdy steadiness, right? I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but that is what people are attracted to: authenticity and staying steadily in the same when all these winds are blowing these other social media stars into making Twinkie cakes with hot dogs or something. I'm exaggerating the point, obviously, and obviously there's many great communicators and facilitators and educators and explorers that are online. I don't mean to say that all people online are hollow, if you will. And
that the attraction. There's the attraction, the hollowness.
And I think for young people especially.
Right. I mean, look at all the unboxing videos and all the rest of the really hollow materialistic things. It's so safe for the algorithm to just put that stuff up,
I'll give you an example. PewDiePie. Okay. I don't know if he's still big or not. Probably still is very big.
I never even heard of her, but she has an OnlyFans account.
He.
It's a he. Oh, excuse me.
No, PewDiePie is millions and millions and millions and millions on YouTube, or was, okay? And I it was called to my attention by the same guy that put out the fire on the restaurant, curiously. But his question to me is, I dare you to go to this website, to this account on YouTube, and tell me what is the subject. Because there isn't one.
There is none. No, there's nothing.
There is no subject of the videos, and has millions of views, millions with videos with no context whatsoever. There's nothing to be palpable in there. Just a guy doing gibberish. So, but relating to what you were saying, Ethan, I think the problem started way before social media.
Oh, absolutely.
Because people,
it's a human problem. Yeah,
people go as young kids to school, and the first observation is these groups. Well, there used to be groups when I was in school. Today I don't know how it is, but there was these groups, right? There was the Metallica guys. There was the the sport billies, there were the rockabillys, there were the punk, uh, and you have all these groups, and you have to decide which group I will fit into. And normally it's because you like this person or that you choose a group, and then you change yourself to integrate in that group, and so you erase part of yourself to belong to a certain group. And in social media, that is extrapolated because no one sees you. So all you have to do is change your dialogue, the way you express yourself to belong to a certain group, right? And that leads to an even further erasing of yourself that is a bit contradictory, but people focus on that and become that, right? And sometimes it goes out of social media and they start to interacting with the world the same way they act in social media, and that usually ends badly because there is no screen, there is no layer of protection. They are not safety at their homes, just writing on a keyboard, right, or on your phone. And it's this choice that people make that separates them from themselves into what they think they have to be in order to survive in the world or to reach the objectives that they have, right? How long does it take for the real self to be erased? And what emerges is this new shallow, soulless character that they build in order to function in the world, be it at their job or at school or whatever, in their uh, circle of friends. People are ceasing to be genuine. Sorry, help me out.
Genuine, yeah.
Genuine, in order to accomplish objectives, right? When they should reach the objectives by being themselves. If you don't accept me, that's fine, right? You don't have to accept me, and I don't have to accept you. But no, people want to integrate. They want to belong to something, right? And probably this is because we no longer have religion being extremely active, because then it was easy. You were a Protestant, you were a Presbyterian, you were a Roman Catholic, you were a Muslim, or you were a Buddhist, right? But today, because that level of social status has lowered, there's less interest in those aspects, probably for the good. People have to choose other things, and there is so much to choose, so many nets that the system has created to keep these people in these little boxes, that they lose themselves into it. So who are us at this point? I'm speaking to everyone listening to us. Think a moment. Who are you? Are you what you created to be in your life, or is it you that are forcing others to accept you as you are? And the forcing is between quotes, obviously. It's just being yourself. Does people still know who they are? Is there any self auto evaluation, auto analysis of who we are and what we're doing, or are we just reacting and trying to survive? Right. That is my question regarding to what you said, Ethan.
Well, I think we all. Oh,
No, please go ahead, Ellis.
We all construct identities around the things we do, the way we talk at work, the way we, behave around certain people. It's all a constructed identity. We just don't really recognize that as such. But in the case of social media, it's very, very clear, especially with content creators that are doing like food videos and all the rest of this stuff. They'll put on this identity that they have for the camera, and then it immediately evaporates once they're off camera. And that whole creation and destruction of these identities is taking us further away from who we really are, if that thing even exists anymore.
I wanted to read some of the lines from Californication. And this was not necessarily written about the internet, but it was written and released in 99. Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation. And little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotation, right? It's worldwide. Everyone's their own star. Excuse me for the interjection. And if you want these kind of dreams, it's Californication. It's the edge of the world and all of Western civilization. The sun may rise in the east, at least it's settled in a final location. It's understood that Hollywood sells Californication. One other that is significant. I was thinking, like, there's all these social media places within the main social media groups, but there's also like social media that is dedicated to one type of thing, like OnlyFans, right? Like it's just become like a job for people. And there was one line in here that made me think of that. Sorry, I can't find it now. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. That's the really powerful one. Anyway, so the whole song has got this idea of going into fakery and beyond just reinvention. It's a total Hollywood fakery. Everyone's kind of adopted it. Excuse me, not everyone. Headless, you're right. Not everyone. There's a lot of really inspiring, powerful people out there using social media for what it should be used for. Then there's these other ones that we speak of. I just learned this new word to me that really brings about this, and it's as you point out, Ricardo, an age-old problem. And the word is dissimulation. And it's not overt lie, right? It's a dissimulation. And I found it, please everyone, forgive me, and don't hold this against me. I found it in an Arthur Schopenhauer quote, who speaks in terms of absolutism, which we could kind of just, let's throw that out and refine that, right? When we see something written or talked about in absolutism, there may be a grain of truth in it, but absolutism does not work. It just doesn't. That's like racism is absolutism example. He presents this in terms of absolutism. I do not agree with his absolutism. He also presents it in terms of the feminine. I would attribute the following to humanity, not just to the female character. So I'll read the first sentence, and then we can just formulate a little adjustment. The fundamental defect of the female character is a lack of a sense of justice, which let's just say that the potential defect of humanity, right? This is not a female characteristic as Schopenhauer explores it. All of these are human traits, and this idea of dissimulation is what I wanted to explore, not to chastise the feminine or female. So I think we could rearrange that sentence into saying a fundamental defect of humanity is a lack of a sense of justice, right? Instead of trying to be overt about it with the feminine or female. So just to clarify, everyone, please forgive me, but I find that there is a grain of truth in the psyche, the human psyche, and the tendency for dissimulation that is ongoing in modernity at present. Continuing, this originates first and foremost in their want of rationality and capacity for reflexation, but is strengthened by the fact that as the weaker sex, they are driven to rely not on force, but on cunning. Hence, their instinctive subtlety and their ineradicable tendency to tell lies. For as nature has equipped the lion with claws and teeth, the elephant with tusks, the wild boar with fangs, the bull with horns, and the cuttlefish with ink, so it has equipped the woman, or humans, with the power of dissimulation as her means of attack and defense, and has transformed into this gift all the strength it has bestowed on man in the form of physical strength and the power of reasoning. And see, that's where it just gets kind of silly. You can't distinguish these traits. This is not necessarily worth extracting, but the dissimulation aspect of humanity is continuing. Dissimulation is thus inborn, and I hate even saying this, but he says in her, but in us, and consequently to be found. And so, yeah, it continues. I don't even want to read it. It's so silly. It gets so silly and overtly prejudiced against the feminine and female. But the idea is this dissimulation that people have the tendency to do and is being magnified via social media, right? And actually, there's this whole idea of, the males adopting more feminine traits and the females adopting more masculine traits. And if, as Schopenhauer puts it, dissimulation is a feminine trait, well, it's not limited to females, right? Certainly it's being adopted by all kinds of people. And it's almost just this, it relates to this idea that we go from recreation or reinvention into just completely hollow and dissimulation. Everything is not a lie, but it's completely hollow and not in
dissociation of the self, I would say.
Totally self-immersed. Yeah, right. So well, I hope I didn't come off.
I was going to say narcissist, but no, that's a perfect example.
So what was that, Hellas?
I was going to say narcissist. Right? It's like this narcissistic effect.
Very much, yeah.
It brings people away from the ideas of justice because, well, it works enough. We don't need to take any more time looking at this because it works enough. It's like putting duct tape on your muffler. It's good enough. And then we just sort of keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, and I think most of these people, when they pursue a point that quite often, from my perspective, is being put forward to the point where they even, the person that is offended or is reacting, it's already lost in his own perspective. And so he has to go beyond the argument and go into completely attack mode because they don't have anything else to say because it's all a character. It's a build-up personality that they created to survive in their medium. And when they're faced with social media, the medium is so large, so overwhelming, with so many people being able to come there and say something, that the only reaction is the lack of argumentation and the start of war, literally. Because it's empty, exactly as you were saying. Because there's these people, I think people taken truths to themselves without understanding those truths. What are the fundamentals of those truths, right? Because people usually don't read, don't have, let's put it, time to go and look into the things that they profess to believe in or to defend. They have no notion what they're defending. It's like in a political campaign, some are defending Trump, others are defending whoever it is, but no one actually knows what these people stand for or what they're willing to do, right? It's all
with the narcissistic personality disorder, you've got people who are constantly paying attention to everybody else instead of paying attention to themselves, right? Because they think that's a good defense. The best defense is a good offense. So everybody else has to be the problem. And in doing so, you never actually fix any of the problems in yourself or any of the stuff around you. So it becomes a really hollow existence at that point, since all you're doing is taking a shallow view of everybody else and trying to pick that apart,
Self-awareness, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. People are completely oblivious of who they are because of the positions they choose to defend or uphold, right? And even those positions are shallow because they have no idea what is behind those positions. They just heard a few lines and said, oh, this is me. This is what I want to go for. And they stand those two lines that they read are the whole base of argument, because I just like those lines, right? And so they defend it to death. And regarding to what you said, Headless, I think by making choices instead of thinking of those choices, they're just making those choices without reflection, right? Because it's the position they want to be in order to be what they want to be in the world, or where they want to be, right? And the problem to me is that somehow, very mysteriously to me, you go to 80%, maybe more, on social media, and the people that they are following are just as shallow, as empty as they are, right? So it's a circle of emptiness where everyone is repeating everyone's words in a circle. And anytime that someone comes in and said, yeah, but you know that the guy that said that also said this and this and this, and behind that there is also this and this, and they, what? No, these two lines are the only thing that matters. So
MAGA. MAGA. You introduce any complexity, it's gone. It just all crumbles.
And that's an excellent example, because when I see manifestations of people on the street, I'm always sure that 99% of the people that are there have no idea what they're doing. They're just taking the opportunity to be a part of something and can destroy something. So why the hell are we going to destroy stores and steal from it, from being angry to something that has nothing to do with the owner of the store or the people that work there? Are they thinking what they're going to do to the jobs of the people that were there that need them to survive, or the owner of the store that has to pay for all the repairs, or the insurance or whatever? They are not thinking about it, because they are just acting as they are entitled to do so, because they're angry, right? Like someone can burst into your house right now because they're angry to something that the government did. So I'm going to take your house just because of that and everything you have in it. It makes no sense. And to me, shows that people are not using thought. They
Ricardo,
are not...
that's the perfect lead-in for my segment, if you want to let me take it. So what I brought up here is the concept of carcinization. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
It is a form of convergent evolution in which non-crab crustaceans evolve a crab-like body plan. So these invertebrates, who are, kind of dissimilar, kind of insect-like, all sort of go back to this carcinization body plan. So all of these are different species entirely, but they all look like crabs because they sort of evolve that same sort of carcinization over all these different generations. And so, yeah, lots of these scientists have looked into it. They have very specific features that all come about over a certain amount of time in the water, and they don't have the same lineage, right? So hermit crabs are different from king crabs and all the rest of these other ones. They're not all in the same family. They've just sort of developed the same sort of body plan. And you may know it or not, but sharing in these same kind of emotional outrages affects your, let's say, what's that word? Epigenetics, right? And so the more reactive you become, the more like your enemy you look like. And so we're all being sort of fed into this emotional machine that's carcinizing each other, to where now we start looking more and more like the hypocrites that we're constantly attacking through the constant use of the same kind of tactics against them. We're all sort of being mushed into that one image by pressing us against each other. And it's creating the same sort of outraged boomer type mentality that we see on all sides. So it's almost like a political carcinization that creates the reactive personality.
It's that position when people say, you are not allowed to have that opinion. I cannot allow you to have that opinion because I think different from you. Right? What happened to agree to disagree? Because these people that defend diversity are the same that are actually causing it to cease, because they don't want diversity. They want everyone to think as they think.
I can continue that metaphor. So all these different crab species, they shed their shells. After a certain amount of time, it becomes impossible for them to move, being plated and all of that bullshit. So they've got to they've got to shed their shells to reemerge into something new. And if you look at the way, I guess the Democrat Party has completely imploded on itself, that's like shedding its shell. Now they have to get away from all that bad karma of all these older politicians that keep screwing up their party. They've got to reemerge as something new. And the Republicans are going to have to do the same thing after Trump gets out, because there's still a lot of questions he hasn't answered. But that bullshit shell kind of builds up over time, and people's expectations get lower and lower and lower. And we don't ever actually think things are going to change for the better in politics, right? Because that's our shell too. And we understand that these people are just full of garbage and they're not going to do anything for us. So we create that constant animosity that sort of leads to places like this. It's very, well, it's hostile. It's not active. Like all of these sort of things have to be buried deep inside of the self. You know, it has to just stop thinking about it. Like our Canadian friends, you know, it's like they can't think about politics anymore because it's so infuriating. There's too much carcinization going on with the information networks between them and their governments.
But they still go and vote.
Shell. Right. But, you know, it comes through this non-involvement and the ideas of not being focused on justice. Like community involvement is how we get out of this, but nobody wants to get involved in the community anymore, because what's the point? You're just going to get yelled at by people who are offended easily.
It's like serpent biting his own tail, because it's something that, how if we were now to try and find a way to escape this circle, because no matter how many parties come on, no matter how many political people come in for us to vote into, they are all serving the same masters. So it doesn't matter if they are Democrats, Republicans, left, right. What is left and right? There is no left and right. There is no Democrats. There is no Republicans. There is nothing of that. What it is a scheme where they present you the one that they think that is going to win, but they don't care, because if the other one wins, they'll have someone doing their bidding just the same. So there is no escape from this circle. So what is the solution? Should people start complying? Should people start saying no? I don't agree. I should for instance, I usually say in Portugal, when they go and do this campaigning for the votes, I usually say, just don't go and vote. In fact, do the opposite. Everyone goes to vote and everyone votes in blank, and then just wait. The results will come just the same, because they are so stupid in their forms of control. They don't even check the votes. They just go with the statistics that they followed, so it makes sense in the end, right? So there is no way out of it.
Well, I got one. So I want to go super woo with this metaphor. What do they call it when you've got problems with your aura, right? It's emotional plating. Just like this carcination idea, you're being emotionally plated with these outside traumas that are weighing down your own life. So maybe through the ideas of spiritual healing and metaphysics, you can get to a place where people can finally be honest with themselves by understanding this stuff in their aura. Super woo.
And that is Merovingian saying, who has time? Who has time? But then again, if you don't take time, how are you going to have time, right? And people just think and believe they don't have time to go and do a spiritual introspection, or to go and deal with the subjects that they believe are important to us or to humanity, they don't have time to delve into that because they have a 9 to 5 job, then they have their families, and they have the debt problems, and they have the crime, and then you have the war, and it's all doom and gloom, right? It's like Bill Hicks said, whoa. Let's stop for a moment. Just take this and smoke it and stop for a while. Because it's not the act of smoking, it's the act of stopping. Just stop, right? Because even in the worst scenarios, life is still beautiful. We just don't look at it, right? Because you are consumed by anger or by fear or by pain, and we don't take time to actually appreciate life. We just focus on the problems, right? And I usually say I will not put myself consuming myself with a problem when there is no solution to that problem. If a problem has no solution, it's immediately solved because it has no solution. So I just have to move on and direct my attention to the things that I can do something about. But people are stuck in the things that they can't change, and they argue very fiercely with the things that cannot be changed. And I think that's part of the problem.
You just touched on something that I think is so metaphysically powerful. Excuse me. So physically powerful and too, but it's a metaphysical power, and that is stopping. And that's why people don't want to do that, because they are so caught up in the dissimulation that they've been presenting and that they've adopted and that they're trying to live, that stopping would also require that they stop the lie. Well, what we might overtly call a lie, but is maybe more accurately the dissimulation, because it's not a total lie, it's a dissimulation. And stopping gets us to focus on what's real and what's simple and what's around us, and anything but the dissimulation. And also, to stop is actually the most powerful aspect of a protest, and it's what powerful institutions fear the most, that people stop and contemplate and communicate and realize that things are slanted against them and make a stand against that to make things more fair and equal and straight. So
the word the government hates the most is no.
That's it. It's the most powerful word. No, we've stopped. Wait, what? You can't just stop. No, here we are. What's the problem? Stopping is the least offensive thing. That is the most powerful instigative effect, right? Not that they are going to have to fight, but it instigates action, because wait, you stopped? When we need you.
Look, there is this small village in a mountain in Italy, right? And the mayor of that small village thought, there's a way I can make money very easily. And then probably not to the benefit of the village itself, but for his own benefit. But what he decided was to put a lot of speed traps, fixed cameras to picking speed and ticketing people. So at the end of the first 2 weeks, there were something like 15,000 fines or something like that, right? And no one ever paid a single fine. It's just like they weren't there, right? And because no one respected the speed cameras, he had to remove them because they were doing nothing, because people just ignored them. Yeah, send the files home. I couldn't care less, right?
The most powerful illusion is the government's omnipresence and omnipotence.
Exactly.
But it's not true.
So, by the simple fact that the whole community couldn't care less that the guy put the speed traps in there, it failed because no one paid attention, right? They're Italians. I just want to go and speed up through the corners. I couldn't care less about the speed trap, right? And the problem is we cannot unite ourselves. And this is the true power of the system. It prevents us from uniting ourselves by giving all these different opinions. Because if we could understand the actual basis, the actual cornerstone of the problem, we would all agree. we only disagree because we start looking at the tree, not at the trunk, but at the branches, right? It's like it's impossible, but it started somewhere. It has its roots somewhere, and it's there where we all agree what is good or bad for our community or for our society or for our planet, because there are simple things that we can all agree with. The problem is when the system starts offering this and that and that and the other, and as Tyrone says, this, that, and the third. So those caught my attention yesterday. The lack of unity in people, and even if there is something they want to implement that they know people will start thinking, whoa, 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 that's too much what they do. Well, let's just throw a couple of planes into a tower. You'll see them uniting, right? Because they'll stop sinking, the fear will take over, and we can do whatever we want, right?
I think people don't realize the power of the egregore. When people get into situations like the government, their entire brain and functionality sort of changes, and it shifts into a much more bureaucratic mindset. And it's like the political carcinization is so much stronger in positions of authority and closer to the government you get, right? So we're talking about people being pressed into a certain mindset from these environments they work in that turns them into these monsters. We have to understand that they're like that in their everyday lives as well. So the people blowing up children over there are the same ones that are visiting Epstein's Island. Like it's pretty complete. That kind of power does a number on your brain, I think. And I think we could all agree on that.
It's the buildup of the justification for your actions, right? And most of those justifications are not real. They are constructs made to make you think they are justifications. I remember seeing some, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago, I don't know, I can't specify, these shooters, these Israelite shooters on top of a building, right? And they were filming themselves shooting children in the head that were playing football on the other side, all happily, right? This is a complete dissociation of what is being human. When you start thinking that the other person is not considered to be a human, it's no different from what racism was in the worst case scenarios where they weren't considered humans. And I'm not talking about black people, I'm talking about white people, yellow people, all the peoples, because slavery happened to all, mostly to white people, contrary to what people believe. So it's incredible to me that we can get to a point where a human managed to believe to his core that another human is not so. It's not deserving of the air he breathes, right? And probably the ones that I would apply that are those that create that construct, that make others believe that they can do actions in a justified form without thinking of the consequences and what's going to happen on the other side of their actions. And that's completely linked to what happens in social media. People are not thinking what happens on the other side of their actions. They're just vomiting what they think is real without even having any basis to that concept in itself. They just,
ironically, it makes them so much less effective at communicating, which was their goal in the first place.
In Tai Chi practice, when I share Tai Chi, I like to tell people, we're training to not react, but to respond. And sometimes even it's better to even just rethink or release rather than either of react or respond. But certainly it is a higher attitude to respond than to react. And that word, it's got, you're being fake, you're acting again. You're so yeah, people, that's that idea of like being counter, like I'm always a little bit paranoid, but that doesn't mean they're not out to get me, right? But some kids in the local neighborhood were doing knock and runs, right? Like, and I was hanging out with an elder, and like a real cop knock at the door, not like a normal knock. And so, yeah, I could have, my first thought was teenagers or something weird. And it was a real loud knock. So I didn't go to the front door where the knock was occurring. I went to the back door to see if I was being set up, surely they're coming at me at the back door. So first thing I did was check the back door, and then, okay, it's probably kids. And, yeah, sure enough it was. But I just did the opposite of what they thought I would do right away, or what I presumed they might think I would do, go to the front door. I went to the back door.
Well, you should have gone to the front door and knock too, to see if it was a form of communication.
No, they had already gotten a safe distance away, so they might not have heard it.
Look,
but yeah, just thinking about what people might want you to do in a certain action of a certain situation and doing something different. People don't know what to do often enough, and that little bit of throwing them off, like maybe it averts the confrontation or something like that.
Well, I mean, you can't forget, when we're talking about reactivity, the infamous flaming bag of dog shit, right? It's the perfect right. Reactive device. So first,
that's a great example of the burn off. Oh, let me just step on this and put it out. No, you idiot. Think it through. That's exactly what they want you to do.
There is this saying in Portugal that two guys walking on the street and they see this pile of shit, right? And they start philosophizing about it, right? But they take it too far, because at a certain point, there's one of them, no, man, it's shit. See? You touch it. See? The consistency is of shit. Look, it tastes like shit. It is shit. You don't have to go that far to prove your point, right? Just let it be, right? And Ethan, you're talking about Tai Chi, and I found it fascinating. For instance, when certain movies come out, like the Hitman, which I love the story and I love the movies, but then this movement starts that Wing Chun was the most powerful martial art in the planet, right? And so you see this martial artists going and challenging. It doesn't matter if it is Wing Chun or is karate or is kung fu. They go and challenge these people because they think that their martial art, that is basically this, because it's just one segment of the thing, and they challenge these people from MMA that use everything in that disposal. So you can broaden this to have every kind of discussion. There's people that go with this, and people that have a vast or a broader circle of ideas and concepts that can put into the discussion. So what happens is they go into the ring, and their ass gets kicked very quickly, because if you don't react, it's like, I've been told this by an instructor long ago. It is, you can learn this martial art to the ends of the earth, and you go into a street fight and you get trashed, because the guy will not follow the same rules that you are following. It's as simple as that, right? And these people, once we get out of the rules that they are expecting in this engagement in social media, and when they express one opinion, and you go, oh yes, but look, Carl Jung has said this, and this fellow said the opposite. What are you talking about? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I've written, just what I read. Yeah, but the context of what you've written comes from here and here and here. You're an idiot. You're just an idiot. You're getting out of point. No, I'm going into the point. It's completely, and that's how these things extrapolate, because there is no context. There is just the affirmation. Just, I put it out there, and that's it, right? There's no more to be discussed. It's like, I'm a Republican. Yeah, what does that mean? It means I'm a Republican. No, what does that mean? Right? It's like that question, that famous philosophical question is, oh, so who are you? Oh, I'm Ricardo. No. Who are you? Oh no, I work as a guy in the post office. No. Who are you? That's my question. I just told you. No, you didn't. I want to know, who are you? And people don't know who they are. They identify themselves by what they do. They identify themselves by what their politic affiliations. They don't know who they are. And I think that's what we see on social media in all of these discussions that we are pointing out.
Very true. Very true. Well, this has been a great episode. I think this is a good place to put a pin in it, and we'll be back next Sunday. Guys, why don't you tell them where they can find you? Go ahead, Ethan.
Oh, peace. Thanks, you guys. That was awesome discussion. As usual, Ethan Indigo Smith on all the usual social media, and appreciate your support. Check out my books if you have the time and attention. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you, Ricardo.
So, first of all, I want to thank everyone in the chat. I see some familiar names out there, and you can find me on X at the tag that is on the screen, Ricardo Calvary 1 at X. Check out the Universe Unveiled podcast on YouTube. They are also on X. Check my books, Stardust and Resonant Earth, and our magazine of the Institute for Natural Philosophy.org. And since we are on the subject, I recommend also Ethan's books. Go and check them out. He did an awesome show speaking about them yesterday. So I think it's worth for you to check it, because it's another perspective that you should add to your circle of context. That's exactly what we're talking here today.
Absolutely, guys. Well, yeah, again, thanks to the chat. Guys, send it out to your friends. Get some more eyes on it. I think if you like it, like the video, share it with your friends, and leave comments. Get it up in the algorithm, you know? So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.